I said yes.
I was ready as I'll ever be.
Well, how's it going, everybody? It is Chris Erickson here over at the East Location, and I wanted to share some stuff with you moving forward. I seem to always have a book that I recommend to people, and I've kind of realized this recently. I'll always read this book, and it's great, and it has this incredible insight, and then I will say, hey, go read this book. And the truth is, a lot of people just don't have time to add new stuff to their plate, especially reading books. Some people either just don't have the time, some people just aren't a big fan of reading. But for whatever reason, it kind of just ends there. And so I wanted to try my best to pass off some of this information from these books that I've been reading or people that I know have been reading, and give you quick insights that you can take with you, something that you can watch 5 to 6 minutes of and get the real crux of the book. I will always recommend that you read the full book. But what I wanted to do was spend a little bit of time, and over the next few videos, break down a book for you that you can take the points that they make and apply it to your leadership. So I have Mike Chastain here. Mike and I have read a book recently called Extreme Ownership, written by Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, and it is incredible. Again, I absolutely recommend it, Extreme Ownership. But if you don't, we just wanted to take a little bit of time and share with you some of the points Jocko makes in the book and how you can apply it to your team. And so this first video, the biggest thing, really the whole book is talking about, is how you own everything. And one of the points he makes is that effective leaders will practice extreme ownership within their groups and their teams. And he gives just an incredible example. So if you could share just that story he shares with us.
Yeah, just the quick recount of it. So while they were deployed in 2006 in Ramadi, Iraq, they were undergoing combat missions, and one of the missions went sideways. It was a blue on green incident where 2 Iraqi military gentlemen were injured when they went into the wrong building, which had U.S. troops in it. There was a number of things that went wrong. They didn't deconflict their battle space. They didn't use the proper radio frequencies. They didn't tell everybody, hey, we're going to be here. Keep an eye on these guys there. So there was a lot of errors that happened. And so when everything was said and done, Jocko had got an email from his higher echelon, and they said, halt all combat operations. We're coming to investigate this. Usually when that happens, whoever's in charge is about to get fired. And so they want to kind of do a debrief. And so Jocko, kind of knew going into this, going, okay, as leader here, I need to, make sure the debrief, is good and addresses all the things. So as he's putting it together, he starts kind of thinking, wait a minute, as a leader, this is all on my shoulders, not my men's shoulders. I should have made sure that they were, deconflicting battle zones or keep an eye on our partner forces there. And so when it came to the meeting, when everybody got together, Jocko said, whose fault is this? First guy raises my hand and says, sir, it's my fault. No, it's not your fault. Whose fault is this? And after about 15 minutes of asking people whose fault it was, everybody in the room's kind of going, okay, well, if it's not his fault, well, maybe it's my fault. I wasn't even there, but I think it's my fault now. And so Jocko, negative, this is my fault. And by doing that, he owned the situation. Yep, it was sad. One of the Iraqi soldiers was killed. The other one was wounded. Our troops were wounded as well. But he owned the problem. He said, this, as a leader, this is my fault. I need to make sure that I'm training my men well enough to know, hey, when I go into combat, we need to make sure, A through B is done, or C through D, and to make sure that our planning and to make sure events like this don't happen.
One of the things he said that I loved was there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. And I loved that. So you read this book a few months ago, because you read it first before I did and then recommended it. Mm-hmm. So you got to actually take it and apply it into your group.
Absolutely.
So how did you do that? How did you take that extreme ownership and apply it into your group?
With that, it's, there's so many different aspects that you can apply it to. The one recently was when I was fortunate to take over a group. The first time going through, I'd only taken over and there was like 3 weeks left of the semester. And so, you meet probably, 15 couples. However, I ran into one of those couples the other day and found out they had gotten divorced. And so over the weekend, it just kind of wrecked me in the sense of, as a leader and as someone trying to practice taking extreme ownership over everything in my world, I should have done a better job of talking to this person, or maybe going deeper with them to say, hey, how's life really going?
Yeah.
I mean, instead of, not asking those difficult questions, because, a lot of people, we don't like conflict. We don't want to, really, look under the carpet per se. We just want to say, hey, how's work going? Or, hey, how's life going? And get that simple answer of good versus, I'm struggling with my marriage, or I'm struggling with whatever. And, if as a small group, if we're to do life together, we need to own that. And extreme ownership is contagious, because I know that if I'm owning things in my life, the people around me are going to pick up on that and start owning things in their life.
Yeah.
I know it's improved my marriage, it's improved my work life. If something goes wrong, it wasn't even my fault, I'll own it, because maybe I didn't tell the guys I work with, hey, we need to do it this way. Or even if it's nothing to do with me, it's, hey, I should have done a better job of communicating this to you, either up the chain of command or down the chain of command.
That's one that I've started wondering a lot when it comes to teams that we lead on a weekend. If something's going wrong, or if we realize they're not doing something, instead of thinking like, man, why don't they get this? Having that, okay, how did I not do a good enough job communicating it? What did I do wrong? That as this information was disseminated, they weren't able to understand it because of how I communicated it, and just trying to own that.
And it's great when when you have people criticize you. That's normally your first thought is, well, I don't want them criticizing me. But if they criticize you and you say, okay, hey, great, tell me more. And usually they're going to say, well, you're right, Chris, you could have won a better way of, explaining this. Well, now you know, and so now you're appreciative of going, hey, that's great, because now I know I'm just talking to an empty room. People are actually, dissecting what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And going, okay, I can actually move forward with this. And it's tough, because you don't want to go, hey, everybody criticized me today. I mean, that's not a fun day. But when you get the things you need to go, okay, that's going to improve my quality as a leader, and thus improve their quality as someone who's a part of that group, it's just a better.
Man,
It's just a win-win.
And you build that trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, with all that, I just wanted to challenge you. Is there something in your team or your group, is there something going on or situation where you're looking at that one person, you're like, man, if only they didn't do this? Or are you forcing someone else to own an issue, whereas the leader, you could be taking that? And are you practicing extreme ownership? But we thank you guys for watching this. Again, if you haven't seen it or read it, buy the book. But we have a few more coming from this, because it was chock full of awesome content. So we got a few more coming, but we'll talk to you soon.